Hello, the internet, and welcome to another episode of
80-bit Podsmash,
where gaming goes to grab a beer.
Ooh,
That was a different one. I like that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. We are your hosts, Penguin and Termite, and 80-bit Podsmash is a podcast about video games and how they intersect with culture, art, and other topics that you care about.
That's right.
That's right.
And we are on episode 20.
20.
Thank you for joining us today.
We're like halfway through almost a year's worth of podcasts.
I was thinking about that today. Episode 26.
Yeah, something around there.
Because there's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah.
So we're getting there. Almost a half a year. Almost 6 months. We're rolling. We're like, social media's picking up. We're getting some followers on Twitter and Instagram. We're getting some people posting and reacting on Reddit. So please follow us on those platforms. We are 80-bit Podsmash, all lowercase, no hyphens or periods, dots or slashes. None of that. Just look for 80-bit Podsmash on Twitter, Reddit, and Facebook.
Follow us. Join in on the conversation. We try to post like once or twice a week on Reddit just to start a conversation usually about whatever we talked about this week. So so just hop on and join the conversation.
Are we still a baby podcast? I mean, half a year in? Are we 6 months old like a baby?
We're like I don't know. I don't really know how to describe us.
Actually, we're 5 months old.
Toddler,
Yeah,
toddler
we're growing
podcast.
a little bit.
Yeah.
But the iTunes reviews are the single most important way for us to get noticed and exposure to the iTunes world, which is 90% of podcasts. That is not an actual statistic. I'm just being like exaggerated. I don't even know what you want to say.
93% of statistics are made up on the spot.
All right, there you go. Most podcasting is done through iTunes.
Yeah,
I think that is the most popular platform. But that is the place that we are there. We're there on all of the other podcast services you can think of with our RSS feed. You can plug us in anywhere. But please go on to iTunes and leave us a review. It will help us get more exposure.
Exactly. If you liked anything in this podcast, anything we say, just holler at your girls.
We're boys.
Holler at your boys.
There you go. I mean, it is 2018. I guess that is up for debate.
All right. What is going on, Mr. Termite?
Oh, man. What is going on? It's New Year's is done. Christmas is done. Kind of settling into the routine.
It's going to snow tomorrow.
They say. And if that happens, I'm playing Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Oh, Joey.
And so far, you might be right about the whole game being snowy. I don't know because I haven't played it. But so far, everything I played is in Soviet Russia. That's probably bad to say it like that, but sorry guys. Yeah,
whatever, we beat them.
Who
lost the Cold War?
It's set in Russia and it's all snowy, so I'll enjoy that while it's snowing outside if it does.
Cool.
If I can stay home.
Yeah, I'll be probably working, but we'll see. I don't know what I'll play.
Yeah,
I've been playing Senua's Sacrifice, so I want to play some of that.
I want a whole podcast about that.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I want you to just lay it all out there.
It's so
have
good.
A whole in-depth topic about mental disorder and
man, I would hope that we could have someone to come on the podcast and talk about that.
That'd be sweet.
That would be great, like an actual psychiatrist.
Yeah,
would be really cool. Someone who's played the game, that would be really cool.
Even better.
I'm also still continuing my BioShock kick and playing
Infinite.
I picked up Infinite, yeah, because I finished The Witcher 3. I finally did it after like 2 years.
Fifth game that you've completed in the last 3 weeks?
That I finished. Now, great, I didn't play the whole thing. He might make it sound like I played through like 5 games in 2 weeks, but
no, you just
I only just finished them. I just knocked them out. Knocked out whatever I had left. But yeah, that's what's going on game-wise.
Yeah.
And weather-wise on our side of the world.
I mean, I'm 4 weeks into marathon training. I have a marathon in April. Another one. Because, November wasn't enough. I had to keep going.
How's the weight loss going?
I am down weight, so that's good.
Good.
It's ridiculous what I have to do it. My body loves to hang on to its weight.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, very, very strict. Tracking every calorie that I eat, making sure I have about 1,000 calories per day deficit so that I burn fat and still running 30-some plus miles a week.
Nice.
Yeah. You?
Yeah, I lost about 5 pounds in the first 2 weeks. Now, granted, it still kind of fluctuates. My weight kind of fluctuates a lot.
Yeah, it does. Everyone's does.
And this weekend was bad because I'm only supposed to have one cheat day a weekend, but I ended up having Sunday. I did Saturday because my family was in town, so we got pizza for lunch, and then my wife made a pot roast for dinner. And then we went out to dinner at like Red Robin or something to lunch the next day. And then we were at someone else's house for dinner on Sunday night, and they made like tacos or something. So I was like, and brownies, and I'm like, I can't say no to brownies.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse, today was the day I was like, okay, get back on the wagon and keep going. go back with my diet. And then work was like, it's slow today. It's Martin Luther King Day. Let's get pizzas for the office. And I'm like, I can't say no to free pizza provided by work. So I was a little bit bad recently. So hopefully I didn't lose too much of what I had gained. But tomorrow it will be back to the strict diet and the snacks and stuff. So.
It is unbelievable how often I have to say no to free food at work. It happens all the time. Almost every day there is something. Donuts, cupcakes, cookies, pizza. Like, people bring in food all the time. And I'm like, nope, can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah, it's very hard and it's new to me. I'm dieting, for one, is new to me. I happen to be blessed with a fairly decent metabolism, but I'm at the point now where I'm like, okay, I need to start taking action. And so this is new to me. Dieting is new to me, so I'm going to make mistakes, I'm sure, as I go, and I'm going to screw up and have moments of weak will. Today was one of those moments. JoJo's Pizza. Ooh, it's good stuff.
I never had it.
It's good. Please down in Richmond. It's not the best pizza in the world, but
it's good.
For free work pizza, it's great.
Yeah. I've been fighting my weight since 2002.
Wow.
I've always had to watch what I eat all the time, or I continuously gain weight, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I could have a whole podcast topic about my life and dieting. It's awesome. I've gone through a lot.
We hate dieting. It's not one of our favorite things.
Nope.
But we do want to talk about our favorite things.
Ooh, nice segue.
That was a great segue. So we're going to try out a brand new segment of our podcast.
A whole new
segment. And it's called Our Favorite Things. And it's just a chance for us to talk about something in our lives that we like and want to share with our Podsmashers. So it could be something old that we used to love and are rediscovering and want to share and say, you guys should try this. It could be something brand new, and it could be a video game, but it might be something like a book, a TV show, a movie, or a new cool gadget or gizmo that we got. Anything that's just new. It's our favorite things. Something that we're passionate about in the moment. So, doing this podcast is our favorite thing. Doing this podcast is our favorite thing. We stole that from a show called Master of None, so the credit goes to Aziz Ansari. It's his joke, but we are shamelessly stealing it and hoping we don't get sued.
Sorry, Netflix.
We are Aziz Ansari. But, okay, so do you have something you want to kick us off? What's your favorite thing?
So, this past weekend, I was introduced again to the Final Fantasy trading card game.
Oh, nice.
And it's a trading card. I used to love Pokemon back in the day, so I collected Pokemon cards and played all that stuff, so I'm kind of into it a little bit. Not now. I mean, I haven't played it in forever. But and I was into Magic in high school, Magic the Gathering.
Cool.
So I have kind of that toe in the water of interest with trading card games. And the Final Fantasy one was brought to America pretty recently. So I picked up a deck, and a friend of ours came over, Kevin, who's a friend of the show. Shout out to you, Kevin.
Kevin!
The beer pairing episode was for you. So enjoy it. I hope you love it, and give us some feedback on that one. So, so Kevin came over, and we played the Final Fantasy trading card game last night, and it was awesome. I thoroughly had a good time. I played a few rounds of it. My deck is Final Fantasy IX, and it's fire and water. And water is like a flowing river, so you are constantly given cards. It's like drawing, it's like flourishing you, nourishing you, and then fire is explosive and consuming, so you do damage.
Okay.
It bursts with fire, and they work well together because you're using the water to fuel your hand and give you a whole lot of options.
Yeah.
And fire is your attacking way.
So, that's awesome. Yeah. Cool.
A lot of fun.
Sweet. I do have two this time. I know that the point is to try to pick one. But I literally can't pick between the two, so I'll make them really quick. My first one is, you guys know, as I mentioned in an earlier episode, I'm a huge anime fan. And there is, I won't really describe it as a rare opportunity, because I guess it's going to be on Netflix now indefinitely. But for a long time, it wasn't on Netflix. And it's now back on Netflix, and they finally have all 5 parts of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. That, again, is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's a amazing anime. Again, they used to only have 4 out of 5 parts on Netflix, so you never could finish the show. And now they have all 5 parts on Netflix. So, amazing anime. Fantastic. It's basically, the basic plot premise is, it's about 2 brothers who live in a world where you can do alchemy. You can transmute things into other things. But there's one constant law in this universe called the law of equivalent exchange, where you have to have something of equal value in order to turn it into something else. So the basic premise is they're spoilers. Their mother dies in like the first episode when they were little, and they try to bring her back to life, but that's forbidden among alchemists because what can equal the life of a human soul? So one of the brothers, as a result of trying to transmute their mother back to life, one of the brothers loses his entire body, and his soul is transmuted into his brother transmutes his soul into a walking suit of armor, and then the other brother loses his leg because of trying to transmute the mother, and then loses his arm by bringing the brother back. So it's super dark. That sounds super dark. It is. It's supposed to be. It's a really dark anime, but unlike other animes, which kind of get like, they go through these like cycles, like, oh, here's a new bad guy, and then we fight the new bad guy, and the bad guy's dead, and then we win. Like, they go through
Dragon Ball Z?
Like Dragon Ball Z is a great example. Naruto's another great example. Unlike those, this show tells an entire story from start to finish. And they are, like, their big thing is they're trying to seek the Philosopher's Stone, which should give them the ability to hijack the law of equivalent exchange. But things get crazy. So it's got some, I will warn you, it's got some kind of anime-y moments, if you know what I mean, where it's like kind of that Japanese humor that's just a little weird. It's got some of that, but like, it balances it out really well with some really serious, adult-heavy, like, storytelling. And it is literally one of my favorite.
Yeah, I'm dying to watch that show. I've always wanted to. Just got to make time for it.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite stories of all time, period. Like,
wow.
Of all books, of all movies, of all video games. Like, I would put it up there in one of my favorite stories of all time. So, that's one. The other thing I recently rediscovered from my past, which I love, as you know, my phone has been bricked. So I've been forced to pull out my old Microsoft Zune. Which, props to it. I know that it wasn't the more popular of MP3 devices, but this thing has lasted me like 7 years and is still working perfectly to this day. So I was listening to one of my old bands, which is Nightwish, a symphonic metal band from Finland.
Ooh.
The lead singer, at least when I was introduced to it, her name was Tara, and she's like opera trained. She like sings opera style, but then like you contrast like these operatic angelic vocals with like metal riffs. That
sounds
awesome. It's like, it was basically my entire teenage, like late teenage, early adult.
So you're like being all nostalgic with it. And all.
Oh yeah, totally. So check out some Nightwish if you're feeling like you want to find a new band and get a little bit of ideas of what Penguin's mind is like. That basically formulated my entire young adulthood.
It's funny.
Yeah.
I was a late adopter to digital medium. I still am. Like, I'd rather have a physical copy in my hand. I don't jump into ebooks. Like, I want to buy the book and have it in my hand and smell it and like touch it and flip pages and stuff. And then I also like having games on my shelf that I can lend to friends, and like I could trade them if I wanted to. Like, I like having that physical touch. I was the same way with music. I would go buy the albums like from wherever store sold them the cheapest, like on sale. But if I could go back in time, I would totally be like, "You're an idiot. Go buy a Zune," because it was awesome.
Yeah, I had an iPod for a while, and they kept breaking on me, so I went ahead and made the switch to Zunes. Yeah,
Apple stands on there like we're durable. And it works.
Yeah, no, I kept having awful problems with iPods, so I switched to a Zune. Granted, the first Zune that I had also broke on me, but I eventually got the Zune HD, and that's the one that's lasted me like 8 years. It's amazing.
Yeah,
amazing little piece of software. I love it. So, yeah, that's our new segment, Favorite Things.
Favorite Things.
Our favorite things. Now we can move on to our other favorite segment, Downloadable Content.
DLC.
Downloadable Content, for those who are just joining us, is just a little game we like to do. It's something that sometimes it's adjacent to our topic, sometimes it has nothing to do with our main topic, but it's just a little fun discussion we like to have before we go into our main topic, which is usually more serious. So today, we're going to be talking about gaming platforms.
Yes.
And so for our DLC today, I wanted to bring up a really funny meme that I found on Reddit, where people were joking about how Skyrim keeps having brand new editions, and they were saying, brand new remaster of Skyrim, now playable on your refrigerator.
Because it's everywhere.
Because it keeps coming out. It just came out for the Switch, and it just came out for VR as well. So the joke was, you'll be able to play it on whatever has a computer. And so the joke is the refrigerator. So I thought that was a pretty funny idea. And I wanted to, I guess, make our DLC today. If you could play video games on any device that currently can't play video games, or do play video games doing some activity that you can't currently play video games doing, what device and or activity would that be?
I would love to be able to play video games while standing in front of a urinal. I would love the urinal to have a big old screen, and I can just be hands-free.
And you can just, like, cast to it, so you're like, oh, I gotta go pee, hold on. And, like, transfer it to your urinal screen and keep playing while you're peeing.
Exactly, yeah.
How would you, like, don't you have to, like, use your hands for the
If we want to rewind back 20 episodes when we first talked about, like, whether you sit or stand in the bathroom, we can discuss my entire situation, but I don't need my hands.
Okay.
I just kind of...
Just gotta let it go. All right, that we don't necessarily need to go.
I use my hips to aim. You know what I mean? So I have my hands free, and I don't like to wash my hands, so I try to not touch anything.
Okay.
So
wow,
if I keep my hands clean, I don't have to wash them.
Yeah,
I can go faster.
Way more than you ever needed to know about.
Yeah,
termite and penguins. Bathroom habits. That's great. Okay, that's a good one. I would like to, I'm hoping that in the future, you know, there's a part of me that's like, oh, it'll be really sad to lose the ability to hop in my car and actually drive my vehicle. But you know what? I wouldn't be that sad to see it go if I had the trade-off of being able to play video games in my self-driving car.
Yes. So that is a dream of mine.
Just like, you know, it's where, you know, again, like, play the games I'm currently playing. So, like, my PS4 comes with some kind of extension that I can, or PS9, whatever it's going to be when self-driving cars are popular.
PlayStation Cloud.
Comes with some kind of, like, oh, there's also a device that can play it just as well in your car. And that way, when I have to, like, leave for work in the morning, I can pick up my games where I left off. Like, I don't want to have to play different games on it. I want to play the same games.
Yes.
So I want it to be some kind of dedicated hardware inside the car where I can just, like, it's a self-driving car, so I don't need to do anything. I just make I dim the glass or whatever, and then it plays on that as the screen, and then I can just sit there and play games on my way to work. For me, it's a 40-minute commute, so that would, like, that's an hour and a half of games to and from work every day. That would be
And then if you take the self-driving car and you mix it with Uber and you just walk out, a car just shows up in front of your house.
Yeah.
And then all the money you save by not owning a car, because you don't have to pay property taxes, oil changes, rotation, tires, whatever, maintenance, and gas, all that money, you can just go buy more video games.
Right, and I don't mind. I wouldn't even mind at that point, like, having, you know, again, if I have to bring in the controller, like, what if the controller was the access to it? Like, the hardware is all just built into the car as part of the package that you have with your subscription with the future Uber or whatever, and all you gotta do is, like, press a button on your controller, and it's like, pick up where you left off? Yes, please. Yep. So that's those are the platforms that we would want to see. Let us know that we can start that as a Reddit discussion or on Facebook or something. Let us know what would you want to play games on that you currently can't. What device or what activity would you like to do?
I guarantee you're going to get more backlash about me washing my hands than you will anything else. And yes, I wash my hands.
Oh, but your hands free. It's never anywhere around. All right, so do we want to open up the can of worms that is our topic today? This may be the last.
Bring it on, nerds!
This may be the last 80-bit Podsmash because I'm not quite sure Termite and I are going to be friends after this. We are finally going to begin to debate the age-old question that has been around since the 80s when gaming began. But which is the better platform to play video games on? PC, or console.
Yes. Coming in hot.
So, a little bit of background for this discussion to prime the pump, if you will. I wouldn't really describe myself as an ex-PC gamer, but I am transitioning more towards consoles these days due to a number of life circumstances. Number one, just I'm in the stage of life post-marriage.
Yeah.
During marriage. Yeah.
Well, your marriage was an event, but it's also a condition.
But it's also a continuing thing. Whatever.
You got married.
I'm married, working towards kids. Like, PC gaming as a hobby is something that's a little bit harder. It's a little bit easier to do when you're single and
absolutely
and a younger person, college age person. A little bit easier to maintain. So there's that. There's also the fact that we moved to an area where I made a bunch of friends, most of whom console game as opposed to PC game, and me being a very extroverted person, me being someone who's very sociable, I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I want to play games with these people. I'm going to go ahead and play games on the platform that they already are well established in. So, yeah, there's a number of circumstances why, but I PC gamed. I would say it was a good 60 to 50% of my gaming history was on PC games. The first game I ever played was on a PC when I was a kid. And yeah, I had consoles for a while, but then, in my late teens and early adulthood, I switched over to PC exclusive for a long time and So, and then was there for a very long time. So most of my gaming history is PC related. So since Termite's coming in hard line against PCs, I feel obligated to defend my PC gaming brethren from back home in Harrisonburg. And that is the stance that I am going to mostly be taking tonight.
But I have also had this similar history.
Sure, okay.
I started as a console gamer for about 15 years. And then when I hit high school and learned that, okay, so it was the release of PS2. Unreal Tournament was a release title for PS2, and we got it because it was the only way we could play it. When I saw what Unreal Tournament looked like on PC, I was like, there's no comparison. I need that. And so, my brother and I went in and bugged our parents to death to finally get us a computer that could play games.
Yeah.
And then I was just, all about PC games through the launch of the 360 and the PS3 even. I wasn't jumping on those consoles at their release dates because I was so distracted by PC. And so, we had LAN parties. I played primarily PC games. I was a Counter-Strike ridiculous. I have probably, I don't know, 1,000 hours, but hundreds of hours in Counter-Strike. I played World of Warcraft, all the expansions up through Cataclysm. But like you, when I got married and finished college, all of my free time went away. And so when I want to sit down and play a game, I don't want to spend any amount of time trying to find the right drivers or installing a new video card or tweaking settings in a menu. So I just gravitated towards consoles. And then once the PS4 and Xbox One came out, bridging the gap between the console and PC game types. So Counter-Strike was released on Xbox, the original Xbox. Totally different game. Not even close to the same game. Sure, it had the same maps and some of the same textures, but everything was different. It felt different UI, and it was entirely different. It wasn't even related at all. The closest thing we have to that today is Diablo 3 on the console versus PC, where they're different. They're not the same branch of code or whatever.
Yeah.
Well,
the games literally play differently in your hand. Yeah.
Right. The PS4 and Xbox One, unprecedentedly, if that's a word, bridge the gap between PC and consoles by saying we're going to make these the x86 architecture so the developers can program for one architecture and just deploy it to all three platforms. So since then, that's when I'm like, okay, PS4, I'm getting that. And then you happen to move into the area as a newer married person than me and all of our friends. And so you kind of came in after we'd all made that transition.
Yeah.
So that's why we're all console gamers now.
Right. Well, again, I do still, actually, even to this day, about half my time is split between PC games and console games.
Yes,
part of that's just because of the layout of my house, and part of it's because of the games that I still have.
Right, it was your existing library that you haven't finished.
But there are games.
What are you buying?
There are games that I'm probably never going to get on the consoles. If they release a Diablo 5 and it's a dual launch. Between all three platforms, I'm probably still going to get it first on PC. I might end up getting it on the consoles eventually, but I'm going to play it first on PC. Same with any new Overwatch or anything like that. Any competitive first-person shooter I get will probably be on the PC just because I prefer the way it plays. And of course, there are still plenty of games that I will probably play in the future that will never be on consoles, such as World of Warcraft. I will probably continue to play World of Warcraft at some point in the future. I'm not quite sure how I feel about Battle for Azeroth yet. I haven't quite
Battle for Azeroth.
That's the new expansion.
Right.
Yeah.
That was the first expansion that was announced since Cataclysm that actually piqued my interest.
Really? You weren't piqued your interest? Legion, the most recent one, the one
it
with
really
Demon
didn't,
Hunters?
and I don't know why, because it should have.
I'm
confused. It's
Warcraft 3 Demon Hunter was my jam.
Yeah.
So the ability to finally play as Demon Hunter and the Illidan story, I was like, I'm in, I'm sold.
Yep.
Yeah, no, Battle for Azeroth hasn't hooked me, so I'm not quite sure. We'll see. It might be the first WoW expansion I don't buy, but if I buy it, or any other ones...
Oh, you're caught up. That's
I'll
right.
play it on PC, so... Yeah. Anyways...
So that's a little history of Termite and Penguin's PC gaming.
PC versus console gaming.
We've both done it.
Exactly.
We both have done both.
We both have done both. And granted, we both ended up in a very similar spot. I still feel the obligation to defend my brethrens back home who continue to PC game, and for what I consider good reason.
Yeah.
So let's, before we launch into the pros and cons of
each
platform, let's talk a little bit about statistics. Let's kind of look at some of the math, what's out there, of what are people buying, what are people playing on, what do the numbers say. So we dug a little bit, found some statistics.
We're going to link off to them in our show notes.
We're going to link off to them in our notes so you have it. The first statistic I want to bring up is just worldwide, what's the biggest platform? We found this, I don't think they actually ran the statistic or did the numbers, but we found the statistics at a site called bigfishgames.com, and it was a blog about 2017 video game trends. There's a lot of cool statistics on there. I really encourage y'all to take a look at that link. But the most interesting thing, one and the most pertinent one for our discussion is worldwide, the biggest platform for games is by far PCs.
What was the percentage of
that? About 56% of gamers worldwide play on PCs, whereas 53% play on a dedicated console, which would be split among among PlayStation 4, or, well, let's just say PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo consoles.
And one caveat to that stat is dedicated gaming consoles, the mainstream ones that we enjoy and know about, were banned in China until 2017.
Which is a huge market. I mean, any entertainment medium has to consider China. And China, like, if you look at most of the movies that are successful in America now, like the Transformers franchise. Let's talk about the Transformers franchise for a second. It's a garbage franchise. But for whatever reason, the Chinese people love it. And it keeps making money because people in China keep watching it. The most...
Did you just claim that Chinese people like garbage movies?
No. I just, by my standards, by what I want, they probably have legitimate reasons for liking it. By my standards, I think it's poor storytelling and poor movie making. Yet, for whatever reason, it appeals to a different culture. And so most movies these days are made with the overseas market, specifically China, in mind.
Right, and there's been posts on like Reddit and stuff that I followed where Brazil has crazy import taxes that are nuts, that jack the prices of things like gaming consoles through the roof. They can somehow get like PC parts, like nowhere near as expensive as a dedicated gaming console.
Because
so, that's a whole country of people that are almost like blocked from consoles. So the fact that it's 56 to 53. And the reason why that adds up, there's more platforms, smartphones and stuff, is because people play on multiple platforms. So like if I was polled, I would say I play PC and So exactly. There was 56, 53, and then there was some smartphones.
30-something smartphones, and there was mobile consoles as well. So that would be something different from your home consoles. That would be like your 3DS.
But as it stood in 2017, more people played PC games worldwide, or on the PC than they did anything else.
Yeah. So granted, if we want to ignore the fact that
I'd love to see that number again.
If you want to take out, if you want to take out if you want to only focus on USA, the only country that matters. Kidding, jokes. We've got them. The statistics in the US though are a little bit different. In fact, they split up the gaming consoles and studied them. This site ran the numbers. I think this was done in 2016, so it might be a little bit different since it is 2 years out of date.
Yeah.
But in 2016, they ran a similar study to see what are the most popular consoles in the U.S. What are consumers buying more of in the U.S.? And actually, PlayStation 4 was somewhere around 27%, whereas PCs were below it at 23%.
That's crazy.
Both of them blew out Xboxes out of the water. But if you factor in Xbox and PlayStation, then you get a number that is much higher than PCs.
Yeah, and Switch hadn't even come out by then.
Yeah, so this is before the Switch as well.
And before the Xbox One X, and before the Pro. That was the year the Pro came out.
So it's pretty confident to say that that in America, in our country, console gaming is arguably much more popular.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because of most consoles are made and marketed towards Americans. Even if they're Japanese made like Sony and Nintendo, they're still marketed primarily towards American consumers. So they're marketed in
crazy.
Price.
They weren't that way in the 80s and 90s.
No, yeah. So, with those statistics in mind, do we have one more statistic? Oh, there is one more important statistic we wanted to bring up, which is what are developers making their games for? Because they did run that. They polled a bunch of different developers and to ask them, what are you making games for? And let me see if I can pull that up. I think I have it pulled up. Okay, so developers are developing games for about 53% of developers are developing games for PCs.
More than half.
PC or Mac. More than half of developers are doing that. 38% are developing games for smartphones or tablets, which we've talked about before as being has been for a while a very exploding market for developers. The PS4 is 27%. VR, 24%.
Which I was surprised to see.
I was surprised that, and that's above the Xbox One, which is only at 22%. So the Xbox is actually below VR, just general VR, which could be PCs, could be PlayStation. Web browsers are beneath the Xbox One at 13%. Linux is at 7%. AR, which is augmented reality, that's 5%. Apple TV?
Yeah, that was a thing. Don't you remember that? Like, they announced it as a gaming platform. It was the same conference Miyamoto came out and said Super Mario Run's coming. But anyway,
wow, yeah. So Apple TV is 4%.
Yeah,
and then the Nintendo Switch right now is lowest on the totem pole at 3%.
Right.
Granted, it's new, and the statistic was done, I think, somewhere around like this is spring of.
Oh wow, the Switch was brand new.
So the Switch was absolutely brand new. Wow. So I bet you that number has changed even in the last year.
And at first I was flabbergasted by this. I was like, how in the world is all these developers developing for PC and we're seeing so much more gamers in the console market? And then we thought indie games.
Yep, indie games.
Like Steam is such an accessible platform because we'll talk about a little bit this later, but Xbox and PlayStation have standards and like they have to certify games and there's a process and money involved with trying to release on the PlayStation Network or on the Xbox One, Xbox Live and Nintendo eShop. So to get your game out there on those platforms, you have to go through some hoops and red tape.
Yep.
Where Steam is like they will fund you if you get enough popularity with their Greenlight program.
Very much,
it's like they'll just throw anything up there.
It's very much they've got their own kind of like essentially kind of Kickstarter program but it's all funded by Steam, so they're just like Valve or whatever, the corporation, they're like, they have this whole program called Greenlight, and so any developer, anybody out there who wants to make a game can make it, submit it to Steam, which will allow people to, you can play Greenlight games, like you can play games that are in that, and then essentially they just get their popularity there, and then eventually they get fund. If Steam, if they get enough popularity, then Steam will fund them.
I mean, I'm going to make another unbacked up claim, but I would say the trend seems to be if you're going to develop an indie game, you go for PC first, and then you go to console later.
And then once it's popular, exactly. Once you've gotten that A, funding, and B, popularity. But I don't actually know. I don't know for sure. But again, I think about things like Stardew Valley,
that was
Terraria,
all PC.
Like all of that stuff was PC first.
Yep.
And then when they became so popular, then they began to move to the consoles. Right. We're seeing a similar, beginning of the sort of the Nintendo Switch is starting to become an indie game utopia as well.
Yeah, exactly. Nindies is what they called it. There was a whole Switch devoted to them. There's like 60 indie games that were like going to be ported to the Switch.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of I see the Switch being attractive to a lot of indie developers.
Most of those games already exist, and they were developed on PC, and those studios are supporting it on PC.
Exactly.
And, it's like,
it'll be interesting to see. As the Switch begins to grow its lifespan, I'm wondering how much of that might change.
Right.
Developers might start to say, "Oh, we want to develop our indie games dedicated for the Switch." Maybe Nintendo will offer incentives for them to do so, like Steam currently does.
Right.
So we'll see as it goes. Nintendo might be smart to do that, given the popularity of indie games on their consoles.
Right.
The handheld, all the fact that it's handheld definitely contributes to that.
You can see Nintendo starting to play well with others. Finally.
Yeah, finally. So cool. Let's move on then to discussing some of these pros and cons. Yep. Why don't we start with the pros of consoles over PCs, and we'll probably do some back and forth.
Yeah, I think it'd be wise for us to go back and forth, so we're not just talking about one platform for an hour.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, so Termite and Penguin and I, we went and did research online. We have our own personal biases, of course, and so these pros and cons are pseudo backed up by like other publicists, other journalists that would agree. There's things that they have the clickbait article of like 9 best things about PC or like 12 best things about consoles. So like, we pulled ideas from these things that we'll have links to our show notes so you guys can check them out. And
granted, the other thing to keep in mind is any pros and cons list, one pro for one person is going to be more weighted than another. So you can say like, use an example of like, we'll just hit the graphics thing. Like, graphics might be really important to one person, but price might be more important to another. So you have one person in one stage of life who's like, no, I just want the cheapest thing that I can get.
Yep.
I don't care about what K resolution it's in or what FPS I get, like frames per second I can get out of it. Like, no, that person might not care about that. Then you got the other person who's like, I don't care about price. I got money to throw. I want the best of the best. I want my experience to be as pure as it can be. That is not a judgment-laden statement either. Like,
you said pure.
Everybody wastes money on something. So if you find
Gotcha.
that valuable. If that's what you waste, look, I say waste money on. With that in mind, like my wife wastes money on shoes. I waste money on games. I tend to go for a quantity over quality experience with my games, but that doesn't mean that someone who goes for I want this best performing game on this best performing platform. Like, that is a totally legitimate way to spend your money if that's how you do.
Some people look at it like, the more money I spend, I can brag about how much better this game is on my machine than yours.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't like those kind of people. Be better.
Be better.
It's not about you.
Yeah, exactly. But again, if you are the kind of person who's like, I just really want this to be good graphics can be a beautiful thing. Can be a really wonderful thing and really can change your perspective on a game.
It does.
And really crappy graphics can sometimes ruin a game for you. So we get it. We get that that's the experience you want.
Right.
But let's talk about some of the advantages that start with consoles here.
I'm going to kick it off.
You kick it off.
So, the benefit of a console over a PC from the developer's perspective is, I want to make a PlayStation game. And I know that Xbox and PlayStation have the exact same architecture, so when I make this game, it's going to work exactly the same across everyone who buys it for PlayStation has the same experience because it's the same performance, it's the same hardware, and no one has a better graphics card, no one has a better processor, no one has more RAM, and I don't have to worry about all the infinite permutations of different types of drivers and operating systems. I know what the operating system is, I know what my hardware is, I can program right to it, I can optimize for it, and I can make this game. So I don't know how to put all that into one word other than uniformity. Xbox attempted to do this with the Kinect by forcing new people to buy it in a bundle with the Xbox One at launch, and they've luckily turned from that mistake. But their idea was if we force everyone to have a Kinect, then we can make games that use it, and everyone has it. There's no one left out. Oh, you have a Kinect, I don't. No, everyone's gotten a Kinect, but of course they lost the price war, and that's a whole different topic. But it's that uniformity across the board. Every console's the same, it will perform the same, and look the same, and experience the same. It allows the developers to have that, we're going to design the game around this experience, and everyone's going to have that.
Yeah, I would say the PC counterpoint to that would be customizability. Personal customizability. So, whereas what you're talking about is my experience on the PS4 is not going to be much different from your experience on the PS4. The only thing that you as a person have that I don't have is a bigger TV. Right. And so you get that, maybe louder sound, maybe better speakers or whatever. So there's nothing from a personal perspective, from sort of just an independent, you can't invest in anything that makes your experience better other than a couple of things, a couple of peripheral things that make your experience better. However, with a PC, I can I can buy a really top-of-the-line headset for if I want a really cool sound experience, a really, engaging sound experience. I can tweak the graphic settings, anti-aliasing, texture filters, all that stuff. A lot of people find a lot of joy in going in there, digging in there, and tweaking the settings as best they can, and buying a really good graphics card that allows them to do that. Or so again, and like I said, uniformity to one person might be a pro, but it might be a con to someone else who's no, I want to be able to tweak my experience. From a developer standpoint, it gives them. You're probably right that that makes them do more work. You have to account for the person who has a really crappy PC,
right?
And who's
you got to make sure it works. You got test beds across the board.
It works. There are there are minimum requirements for most games too. Right. So they do
at least draw.
They don't have
somewhere.
to. They have to. They can draw a line somewhere. As from a developer, they have to, or else people would be playing games on Windows XP PCs from 15 years ago. But still, I don't know. It does allow them to push. They can push the limits of their games. Think about Crysis. The best experience for Crysis 10 years ago was on the PC.
It was a PC exclusive for a while.
Yeah. So it was designed with the people who are going to enjoy this game best are the people who are pushing.
That was the number one question in the culture of PC gaming is, will it run Crysis?
Will it run Crysis? Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a great segue into my next point. That's a pro for consoles, is it works right out of the box. I go to Walmart or Target or Best Buy or where have you, PS4, Xbox, pull it out of the box, plug it in, HDMI cord, electricity, turn that sucker on. Yes, there's a download because it's got to update, and you have that problem. But that's an aside. But it works. That's it.
It's the
Done.
N64 days. You literally just plug it in and turn it on and play it.
Which was a console. And you
Fair.
could just put the game in and turn it on, and you're in. You're ready to rock. Mm-hmm. No tweaking settings, no downloading drivers, no installing hardware, no accidentally, my graphics card's not sat correctly in the motherboard. It's a hair loose, and so I got to take the whole side of the computer off and spend 3 hours putting that sucker back together, updating the drivers again, debugging the issue, checking log files, going in and like the nitty gritty. Like none of that.
To be fair, the amount of times I've actually had to do that in my life has been minimal based on what you're describing it. You're describing it as if every single game you have to do that for.
I do.
In my experience, I have not had to do that.
My brother got me a monitor for my birthday. I was super excited about it. 24, and I just put that sucker in. I was like, I'm going to fire up Battlefield 4. This is going to be awesome. I spent 2 hours debugging issues. Why? I just want to play it. It's an old game.
I am sorry you had that experience.
All I did was change the monitor.
I
have notes that I could link to anyone who wants to know them. It's hilarious, actually, because I was so furious. I'm like, I'm typing up a note because console gaming is so much better. And so as I went, I have this like diary of my experience.
I would say that
unbelievable.
Many people don't have that experience. I won't say that all don't. I won't say that most don't. I'll just say that in my experience, again, especially if you're talking about a platform like Steam, and again, I just beat 4 Steam games in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Bioshock 1, 2, Nier Automata, and Witcher 3. All of those were Steam games.
No issues.
Do you know what I did? I downloaded them, I ran them, I played them.
I beat them,
man. I uninstalled them. Like,
you were on a gaming laptop though, right?
I'm running on my fairly brand new work laptop. It's about 6-7 months old.
Yeah.
But again,
so it's not a custom built rig.
It's not a custom built rig, but that's the thing is like there are options out there. You can get pre-built rigs that like don't have as many problems, and even if you know what you're doing, a custom built rig is not going to have that many problems.
I know exactly what I'm doing. It's amazing what it looks like and how it runs.
And again, there are. I know that my graphics card of choice, my graphics developer of choice, I should say, is NVIDIA. Mm-hmm. I've used NVIDIA for the past like 3 PCs I've had. Mm-hmm. They've got a really great
driver update UI.
Their driver UI. Like I have to run the updates like a little bit more regular than I want, but like the UI system, like it goes in and like they optimize the game based on what you want. So you can actually change. There's a slider, and it's like, oh, I want this game to run smoothly, and it will go in and like change the settings to make sure that it's optimized for best performance. But you can also change the slider to I want it to look as good as it can, and then it will go in there and each individual game it'll optimize it for the best.
I played The Witcher 3 on PlayStation 4. I ended up doing that.
That's fine, but like I'm just saying there are options that make it easy to do that. Like
easier now than it was 10 years ago.
And that's
fine. We were gaming,
but that's progress. That's progress.
Yeah, I guess.
So like,
and then I got a new video card. Like, not even maybe a year ago, summertime-ish, and I put that sucker in, and I had to create another personal diary of frustration with the driver and software issues I was having with that.
It sounds like you just have a really crappy PC.
No, it's amazing. Again, I'll show it to you. Like, it's awesome.
I will say that the other, I think that a good counterpoint to your main point of like it's an all-in-one experience. It's a out-of-the-box experience. A PC is an upgradable experience. So, like, if something in my PS4 breaks, or if something is not what I want it to be, I have to buy an entirely new package console. Yeah. Whereas, if something fails on my computer, I can usually just replace that one component, which I have Frankensteined so many computers over the years because I've been like, okay, cool, I need more RAM, boom, pop the RAM in there. I need a better graphics card, let me just make sure things are, it does take a little work to make sure things are compatible, but I think that many people, there's a lot of overlap between IT professionals and gamers, so I think there's large, if you look at, if you have a Venn diagram of IT professionals and gamers, there's a large chunk of overlap where people are like, cool, I'm fine with making sure that, and then just boop, pop the sucker in and out. Like,
you're your own tech support.
It's the same, that downside of consoles is the same downside I have with Mac computers, where you can't replace the parts. So a PC is something where I can always, if I always want to push, if I always want to spend more money to make it a better experience for myself, I can, and get more RAM, better processor. So that upgradability is super, super cool. All right, hit me with the next one. What's the next?
All right, so the next thing, kind of lumping 2 points together, is the simple control scheme and the comfortability of playing in a living room with a TV. So you don't have the keyboard and mouse. You have a controller you hold in your hand, which I know you can do with PC, but you have the console hooked up to your home TV, no compatibility issues. You sit on the couch, you kick back, and you relax, and you play games on your TV. Mm-hmm. The number one gripe I've had with PC gaming is I want that. But to bring my PC down onto my TV and hook it all up, is the graphics card going to scale to the size of my TV correctly? I've had resolution scaling issues in the past. They're not all compatible, and you have to sit and debug that. And then you have a keyboard and mouse, especially if you're playing a first-person shooter. You want that because that's where it's best. You have to have like a coffee table or some sort of lap situation. Your mouse falls all over the place because it's rounded surfaces. It's like it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work. With consoles, they optimize for the controller, so there's auto aim. They know you're using a thumbstick as opposed to the precision that you get with a mouse, and so everything is scaled and programmed behind the scenes to work with the joystick, so you can get the same experience of your shooters with a controller and a console, with none of the fuss of trying to get a PC to work in your living room.
Yeah, I agree with most of those statements. I would say that a lot of people do make it work. So I know my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, for example, they don't have anything but they don't have TV hooked up to their TV. They have a computer hooked up to their TV in their living room.
Oh, you mean like a cable box?
Yeah, they don't have anything. They just stream Netflix through their their PC is their entertainment thing. Yeah. And so they have a little. I mean, he has a little a wooden flat board that he puts the
keyboard and
mouse on, and that's how. And then he plays games, but that's how they also control Netflix and everything. So a lot of people make it work with peripherals, but I agree it can be a hassle. But the fact that there are peripherals, you can really customize PCs to do whatever you want, to fit whatever situation you want. It does require a lot of work on the upfront to make sure things are compatible and to make sure that your situation can be comfortable. But I'll tell you, there's so many times when I wish, I love playing games on my PS4, but I don't like taking time away from my wife. If she wants to be sitting there on the couch watching Netflix on the PS4, we have to have a discussion and a conversation about, okay, who gets the PS4 right now? Because there's one big TV in our house, and that's in the living, and there's only one TV in the living room. So, again, it's an advantage I like about the Nintendo Switch, is that I can pull the Switch out, play games while she's watching Netflix. But it's also nice to be able to retreat to my office where I've got, a nice, awesome roll-top desk that was given to me by my father-in-law, and my office situation where I'm, my PC gaming situation in my office is plenty comfortable in its own way. It's not, again, sitting on the couch and playing games on my PlayStation is great, comfortable, and really relaxing, but my PC situation in my office is pretty relaxing too, and I get to have that kind of alone time, isolation, that can be nice, when my wife's watching Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. Call out, that's what you're watching right now. You don't listen to it, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, double call out.
Double call out.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean, there is a sense of comfortability that you can create in your own. That doesn't have, the only comfortable situation isn't being on the couch. You can also be comfortable in your office, depending on what you got, so.
I guess so. I'm not comfortable sitting at a computer, but
you also, I guess we both are IT professionals, so.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying it's possible.
Right. So the next thing on my list is the local multiplayer, couch co-op. Not possible on PC at all.
That one I 100% agree with you with. Yeah. There's absolutely no way you can couch co-op. You can't. There might be games out there where you can plug two controllers in with USB, but you have to have two USB controllers, and then there's nothing you can do. Oh my gosh, last time I split the keyboard between two people, I've done it before, way back in my childhood, but it's not absolutely an awful experience.
Yeah.
So I agree with you there. I will say that online multiplayer, I would say the counterpoint to that is online multiplayer, at the very least with PCs, you don't actually have to pay.
That's the only benefit.
An additional subscription. So with PlayStation and Xbox, you actually have to pay for a service to allow you to play games with other people on top of the internet you're already paying for.
Right.
Whereas with
PCs... Let me lay out the multiplayer experience on a PC real fast. Excuse me, do you have TeamSpeak? No. Let me go get TeamSpeak. Do you have Mumble? No. Let me get Mumble. Do you have Curse? No. Okay, well, let me party up with you. Well, how do I do that? Let me add you to my Steam game. Oh, I'm playing on EA Origin. Sorry, can you add me on that? Okay, let me send you the email link and let you verify your account. Okay, actually, I'm on Uplay through Ubisoft. I want to play this game with you. Can you add me as a friend list there? Nope, we're playing Diablo. Oh, you gotta have a Battle.net account. I have to add you as a friend in 4 different software programs, and then we have to discuss which third-party software we're going to talk over chat with our microphones on.
That I will give you. There are an absurd amount of...
And then if we want to switch games between, like, forget it. You're not going to stay together. You have
I would say that most people who are PC gaming are playing on Battle.net or Steam.
Yeah, probably. But there's some Origin, like Titanfall.
I know there are some, but I would say that most people who are playing PC games now are playing...
And then have you ever experienced like a Battlefield multiplayer online trying to find the same server to join with your friend? To jump up together and join the same... Let me give you the IP address, or hopefully we'll find the same name. It'll come up on your screen. Well, I see it on mine. Don't see it on your screen. What's going on? And you do this at a LAN party? This is ridiculous. And so, yes, give me the $50 a year where I can just party up with you between games on the PlayStation and jump between games with you, and we have our unified chat system, and it just works, and it's simple. And yes, it's $50 a year, but that's so cheap.
I'm just
for the benefit.
Angsty that the Nintendo Switch doesn't have a unified chat system.
We're not going to talk about
that. I'm so cranky
I
about
agree
it.
with you.
I'm very cranky.
Yes.
I have to get on Skype to talk to people while playing Splatoon, which sucks.
Yep.
So, again, I have to use my PC anyways, which will bring me to my next point.
Use your phone.
A PC, you have... What's a phone? It's basically a glorified PC.
Well, you can use a flip phone to talk.
It all supports
Splatoon.
It all supports my next argument, which is that PCs have multiple functions. Most people are going to have a PC anyways. You pretty much have to have one these days. It may be in the form of a tablet, it may be in the form of a laptop, but you have a PC anyways.
Yes. I mean, it can be argued that the internet is more of a utility, like water and electricity, than it is a luxury service.
The fact that, again, when you can't talk about this, have this conversation without talking about price. Console gaming is objectively cheaper. I will give you that. It is the highest end 4K 30 frames per second. Consoles are the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X.
Yep. Yeah. Curse you, Microsoft.
Yeah, screw you and your naming system. Both of which are $500. $500.
The PS4 Pro is $400, and you can probably find it on sale now because that's what they do.
$500 is the minimum for a gaming PC, not even a good gaming PC, but a bottom of the line gaming PC. So the top of the line for consoles is the bottom of the line for PCs. Granted, you also have to factor in the cost that, you're going to still need a computer in your house, even if you have a console. So you're still going to have to drop $120
but
at least on a PC.
If everyone in a family if you need a PC in the household and it can be a tablet or a phone, those things aren't gaming devices.
They're not, but they're still...
But they fulfill the need for the PC.
Sure, but
without
still
being a gaming device.
Cost. I'm just saying, total cost is still going to cost a certain amount. Granted, I will also give you the fact that you could still have a gaming PC and a tablet and a laptop in your house. So I would say that I would still make the argument that PC gaming is a more expensive, at least hardware, from the perspective of hardware, it is the more expensive hobby.
Absolutely.
But... That gap isn't quite as big when you consider the fact that the PC still performs multiple functions that you're still going to need anyways if you have a gaming. You're still going to need to email. You're still going to need to create Excel spreadsheets. You're still going to need to do Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, whatever. You're still going to need... A person could feasibly need all of those things to do their job or to do whatever other things they're doing. So having it all in one where I can, my laptop, I can work on it. I can play games on it. It's a really nice thing to have. I can trust my laptop here, my work laptop, I can trust it to do what I need. Whether that's entertainment or work. And that's a nice thing to have. And if we're talking about price, we might as well bring up the fact that software on the PC tends to be cheaper.
Oh, sure. You can get games new digitally, download them really cheap.
Yeah, Steam games.
But you don't have the option of physical copies of anything.
I have physical copies of...
But it's usually a key that's claimed, and then the disc is just the files, which is worthless to anyone who hasn't bought it.
That's true.
You can't trade games in. You can't resell anything. So if you look at reselling games or buying used games on the console side, and you factor in cost over time, if you're buying new games digitally on the PC all the time at discounted rates, sure, you're not paying $50 or $60 for a game anymore. But I'm not either, because I'm taking advantage of sales and deals where I'm trading these games in and getting a bonus on that, and then taking that bonus and applying it to a discount on used games. And so my cycle of games, library of what I've played and what I've owned over time could be matched with the PC side of the cheap stuff.
Okay, we're running out of time, so let's do a lightning round here, where you just go through the rest of your list. What are the advantages of consoles, and I'll do what are the advantages of PCs that we have left. So lightning round, hit me.
Here we go. The option of a first party only exists on a console because there's no single entity that owns the PC platform. Mm-hmm. There is lots of piracy protection that you can't pirate games very easily on consoles. Innovations like the PlayStation Vita, handheld consoles, and the Nintendo Switch would not exist if not for the console market. The hardware is cheaper, as we've discussed. A graphics card alone could match the price of an entire computer. It's true. Or of an entire console. It's ridiculous. Single platform, online partying, and chat system. We talked about that. There's no console master race mentality among its users.
Granted, console master race mentality is a joke for the most part. There are some people who take the jokes too seriously, but I would say I will use the term PC master race, but I will use it ironically as a joke because I'm a 20-something millennial. The lightning round for PCs are we talked about how everyone has a PC anyways. Infinite backwards compatibility is really important.
That's my favorite. That's why I like PCs.
Yeah, the fact that I can play I just played BioShock, which is a PS3 PS2 game.
Yeah, but I could play it on PS4. They just came out with the collection.
But you have to pay extra for the collection,
right.
Whereas I just downloaded the old one and had it forever. Right.
Go back farther than that. You can download a 1970s game with DOSBox.
Yeah, I can play Commander Keen, which is the first game I ever played. We talked about in episode 0.
Yeah.
So backwards compatibility is amazing.
That number one, no argument.
Yep. You can. There's a huge library of games. Just the amount of games that kind of goes hand in hand with that. There's just so many games on the PC. There's so many games that are made for the PC, indie games, all that kind of stuff. MMOs, the experience is unrivaled on PCs. We talked about a little bit about indie game Utopia. I think that's probably all I've got there. Let's spend the last little bit of time talking about what types of games do you think play better on PCs versus consoles?
You go ahead and start with what's good on PCs.
Sure. I'll just talk about the best MMOs are PC games. So the best, I'll use the word pure MMO experiences, but like Destiny's kind of an MMO experience, but like
that's a games as a service.
Exactly, it's more of games as a service. Like
World of Warcraft is an MMO.
Yeah, heavily inspired by MMOs, but not quite the same.
Right.
The MMO experience, like the whole market, Guild Wars 2, Final Fantasy 14,
yep,
and World of Warcraft being the big one. Like those, the best-selling, best-performing MMOs. All of them are on PC and would be impossible to play on consoles. I would say that also the MOBA market. So games like Smite were developed for PCs, and League of Legends being the big one, Dota, all of those MOBAs, which again may not be a popular one amongst the two of us, but is still a hugely popular amongst gamers kind of format. That was all PC. That was developed based on Warcraft 3. And then I would say that FPSs, there are people,
competitive ones.
Yeah, when talking about preference, I know there are a lot of people who love playing FPSs on consoles, so I don't want to diminish that. But if you want to compete, you will do better when you do the mouse and keyboard. So
and that's why we don't cross platforms.
Exactly. Competitive FPS, PC, to be the best of the best in any competitive FPS, you have to play it on PC.
Yeah, keyboard and mouse, can't beat it.
Can't beat it, yep.
So what's better on consoles? Everything else. If you watch the Game Awards that we live tweeted, PCs only got one category out of every single award. It was best PC game. Mm-hmm. Everything else was a console game. Mm-hmm. Or it was released on everything.
Yeah.
So every other type of game on the planet is better on a console.
That's debatable. I crossed it out in his notes. He wrote that, and I used the strike-through font to strike through it because I disagreed. But
the best game, to be serious now, the actual best games for consoles are couch co-op games.
Yeah, anything you can split screen, impossible to do on PCs, and there's no experience like Smash on the couch with your friends, or GoldenEye,
Mario Kart,
so many. And then speaking of Mario Kart, I can't imagine playing a racing game, even a serious racing game like Forza or anything like that. Right. It would be stupid. I would hate it more than I already hate it. I would hate it on PC. The ability to have the cool wheel controllers that Nintendo does. Mm-hmm. There's so many innovations that make.
There's Project Cars 2, which came out for Steam, and you could use the steering wheel for that. At your desk, which could arguably be better on a PC. But Gran Turismo and Forza are the kings of racing simulators and racing games, and the best experience is going to be on Xbox.
For sure, and I would absolutely agree with that any day.
Yep.
Cool. Well, let's end there. Thank you for listening to us debate about. I think we're still friends. I think
yes.
80-bit
Go waste your time on your PC.
80-bit Podsmash can carry on because we are not going to murder. We didn't murder each other. Yay! So let us know what your thoughts are. Hit us up on Reddit. We'll start a conversational thread about PC.
Have fun with your keyboards and your Excel spreadsheets and your
Be
drivers.
civil. Be civil towards one another, please, when we're discussing this. And because apparently this conversation can get heated. But yeah, follow us on...
Be nice.
Be nice. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Give us a review. Like. Subscribe. And we will see you all next week.